evening, and welcome to Dark Sayings. I'm your host, Pete. It is Saturday night. It is Sunday morning. It is Dark Sayings Live. Welcome to another Midnight Mystery session. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay in the chat. I'm just going to glance over there. Jesse Miller popping in. Yo, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Good old buddy Jesse Miller. Haven't seen you in a bit. Thank you for stopping by. I'm just getting my notes organized here. I have them on my phone in front of me, and I accidentally closed them, so I'm scrolling back to find where they start. So bear with me just a moment. We got some interesting topics tonight. Been a week. Glad to be back. Glad to be here. All right, got my notes all situated. Thank goodness for that. How y'all been? How y'all doing? Good to see you, everybody. Let me check the chat here, see what's going on. Got a lot of hellos. First, I want to shout out our live chat moderator, Miss Tina Tomaszewski. Thank you, Tina. Much appreciation for your assistance in keeping things nice and orderly. Appreciate you all tuning in tonight. Thanks for being here. It is a wonderful evening for the strange and unusual. You know how we like to do. Now, let's not waste too much time tonight. I really don't have much personal to report, anything funny or interesting in that regard. But I do have some very compelling topics to get into. All of these are pretty topical. They're all very recent, trending topics to delve into, I would say. And with that, let us begin. So the first thing we're going to get into tonight, and I've got about 5 things I want to touch on. So I want to be a little more rapid. I think that the last few weeks, my timing's been a little off, and I've been dragging it out a bit. If you're new here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For those of you watching on Twitter or Instagram, I've just kind of branched out into doing multi-streaming recently in the last week or so. For the last 10 years, I've been on YouTube. And you may say to yourself, Pete, you've been on YouTube for 10 years. Where are all the damn videos? I only see a handful of them on there. So quick explanation for those of you who may not be aware. Originally, this channel went by a different name. And I did a rebrand. It was a soft rebrand a few years ago. Not even a few years ago, about a year ago. Nice soft rebrand. And so I did a nice soft rebrand. And, I think there was a little confusion. People weren't sure what happened. So when I came back a few months ago and started trying to be a little more consistent, I did upload a video that kind of explained, what had happened in very vague terms. So I decided I wanted to, move in a new direction, kind of focus on more of the intellectual, academic side of the strange. That was always something that was very important to me to do in the past, and I wanted to pick up that commitment yet again. Likewise, I'm not into the sensationalism. I really, sometimes I will admit I will tailor titles to garner attention, but I won't sit here and just cook up nonsense for the sake of having content. I think it's unbecoming of anybody who considers themselves serious about these things. And, I always felt that this information can stand on its own. It really doesn't need a lot of fluff and nonsense around it. This information can stand on its own. A lot of it you can research on your own. You will find that there are many aspects of these kind of things. I'm sorry, I'm a little washed out. Let me, totally ruined that. That's too dark. Okay. Let's see. Are we going in the right direction now? What's that one? Is that the damn? I don't know if I can go down anymore. Okay. Good enough. Oh man, I just saw how close I was to the mic. No, don't look at me, please. I look like a gargoyle of a man. All right. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the topic today. As I said, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're following on Instagram or Twitter, follow me there as well. Hell, follow me on everything. There's also I put up a link to the Discord. It's down in the description. There's an enormous description there, but there's a link to the Discord. There's also a link to the Twitter if you'd like to follow. And if you want to join the Discord, I encourage you to do so. And let's get into it. So topic number 1 tonight has to do with the resurgence of UFO disclosure narratives. There's been an ongoing push. Yep, that went out. There's been an ongoing push for UFO transparency. And there's been recent congressional hearings that have been driving this, public statements, and intensified debates about extraterrestrial contact and government secrecy. Now, we'll look at some of the latest developments, the historical context, and some broader implications of these narratives. So, first up is the congressional push for transparency. November 2024, there was a House hearing featuring testimony from Admiral Timothy Gallaudet. And he described unexplained craft with advanced capabilities, urging declassification. Now, I want to put a caveat on here. I'm doing something I don't normally do because generally I don't lean in that direction. This is pretty nuts and bolts for me. I'm more of a fan of the high strangeness aspects of these stories than the minutia of disclosure and, whistleblowers and other such claims, So with that in mind, I am taking a step kind of away from what I normally do for the sake of getting this right, So and anyway, we are getting into some nuts and bolts. And like I said, unusual for me, but that's what we're doing tonight. It is what it is. So like I said, we had the congressional hearings, and likewise, there was, Jack Cochran liked my post. Thank you, Jack. Good old Jack. I'll tell you what, I'm a big fan of Ranting Monkey here on YouTube. I wish I could tell you when he streams, but Jack is often, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a different Jack there. I'm sorry, Jack. I'm confusing you with somebody else. If you guys know Bad Comics Reviews, who tends to visit us here from time to time, you will also know that he is a co-host on Ranting Monkey's Monkey in the Morning show. So I highly encourage you guys to subscribe to Ranting Monkey and check that stuff out. It's pretty good. But anyway, I digress again. So President Trump made comments in 2025 on Fox News hinting at unreleased UFO knowledge. And this did nothing but fuel speculation again about high-level briefings for, those who hold the Oval Office. There was a proposed UFO Disclosure Act, and it seeks to establish a public record collection through some mechanism that hasn't been decided yet, and it's completely stalled in Congress at this point. There is public pressure, however. There are plenty of people out there, and I want to give a shout out right now to Christina Gomez. For those of you who are followers of her channel, you may have seen a recent post she put up. None other than the famous Joe Rogan cited one of her tweets just this week, and we're very happy to see Christina having continued success. She's one of the best in the field, in my opinion. And you need to have some young blood in this area of research. Ever since I was a kid, I've been interested in this stuff. I'd say I probably got into this stuff around 9-10 years old. I don't know if it was Unsolved Mysteries or those reruns of In Search Of, maybe a straight library book about ghosts, who knows. But as long as I've been interested in this stuff, it has predominantly been dominated by elderly men. I mean, it's like Congress over here. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with age. I'm no spring chicken myself, but it is good to see, the younger generations coming up now, getting an interest in this stuff. And Christina's definitely at the forefront of that. So congratulations, Christina. You're definitely getting recognized out there. Next time you're going to be on Joe Rogan, I imagine. So it's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for just doing great work. And this is normally her wheelhouse, these kind of nuts and bolts kind of things. So if you are interested in all the minutia, definitely check out her channel. As far as, again, nuts and bolts, there was a whistleblower. You all heard of this by now, David Grusch, who made 2023 claims of non-human biologics. And this continues to fuel the narrative, but it's unverified. There's no verification of any of the claims made. My contention is that very often, and we've seen this in the past with several high-profile incidents. Now, look, I'm not going to lie. I'm a bit of a troll. Sometimes you will find me making pretty outrageous comments online, and usually it's just to get people's dander up. As far as politics go, I'm a man of faith, and I generally lean on that regarding how I feel about policies and public decisions, But regardless, I'm still American, and because of that, I also believe everybody's kind of got the right to do what they want as long as they're not hurting anybody. So it's a strange line to walk. But, I don't hide the fact that I'm definitely more conservative than progressive. I don't even like that word progressive, because what are we progressing to? Like, it's a dystopian nightmare we're living in. Like, and at this point, like, if you don't realize that everybody's got a hand in it, then please don't misconstrue me saying I'm conservative with saying I'm a Republican, because I think political parties are absolutely evil. Like, I am morally conservative. Socially, I don't really care what you do as long as you kind of keep it to yourself, and I think that goes for a lot of things. Here in the United States, we have really relegated faith and religion, for the most part, to something we keep privately. We don't talk about it. We don't want to bother nobody. But nobody else has that issue with any of the nonsense they believe. So I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So I have no compunction about stating what I believe, or, standing for my beliefs in that regard. Likewise, that any of these lunatics out there do. And you know what? I'm sure to some people I'm a lunatic too. So one way or another, that's kind of where I stand with that. And that's kind of leads into my next point. For something like this, there has been bipartisan support for this narrative, this transparency, this idea of disclosing information. There have been senators like Chuck Schumer, and Rounds, who have whose interest has suggested that there might be political will for disclosure. Online forums debate whether disclosure would prioritize, national security or public access to the data. And I think that we can see with a lot of the scandal that's going on currently in our political climate regarding some more unsavory acts, that disclosure in our lifetime from our government it's I don't think it's happening, man. I don't think it's likely to happen. I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that we can really rely on the institutions of power, who are well known for spreading lies and nonsense, to provide us with insight and answers to this serious and ongoing mystery. So with that in mind, I'm very skeptical of those who claim inside knowledge. I'm even more skeptical of those who are very high profile personalities. I'm not talking about like guys who, they show up on these cheesy documentaries or these cable shows and you get a quick sound bite out of them and then it moves right along. I'm talking about the full-on grifters, and look, I don't think there's anything wrong with making a career out of this kind of stuff. The more power to you if you're able to accomplish it. But there are people out there who definitively sell a bill of goods, constantly kick the can down the road. Disclosure's coming. And look, I've been waiting for disclosure for 40 years, and I'm seeing nothing happen. The needle never moves, folks. So I'm more of a firm believer in a first contact situation over a disclosure situation. When and if there are extraterrestrials out there, and we do finally come face to face, I would believe that it would be on their terms rather than our government admitting to anything. What have they ever admitted to? So yes. The Pentagon in 2024 acknowledged UAP investigations, and it has shifted some skepticism towards cautious curiosity. Now, in historical context, of course, there was a 1947 Roswell incident, officially explained as Project Mogul, a balloon. And it still remains a cornerstone of the UFO controversy and conspiracy theories to this day. And I think for my own part, I often say this to people I speak to. When you can accept the fact that it's possible there was an enormous cover-up regarding an extraterrestrial crash on U.S. soil, it becomes very easy to believe that everything else is a half-truth and a manipulation. And I think that we have seen in many regards, especially over the last 5 years, there is straight up mind manipulation going on from those in power. But I digress. Declassified documents from the 1990s confirmed Roswell's cover story, yet 68% of Americans in a 2024 poll still suspect there was a cover-up. Now, from 1947 to 1969, Project Blue Book investigated 12,618 sightings, concluding most were natural phenomenon, but 701 cases remain unexplained. In 1961, the Betty and Barney Hill incident occurred. It was an abduction case that introduced the archetype of alien abductions, influencing every narrative that will occur after such. Now, I want you to keep in mind, and I've said this very often, I am a fan of the contactees of the 50s and 60s, these outlandish stories of space brothers, and they run the gambit. You have aliens showing up at a farmer's field and they need a bag of fertilizer, you know? You have aliens showing up at a farmer's field and they make them greasy, disgusting pancakes. You have aliens show up when a man's looking for seashells in the desert. You have aliens that show up when the big names, Adamski, Bethram, these guys who are instrumental in the early contactee movement. Elizabeth Clare from South Africa, and her space lover Akon from the planet Meton, and you can find that in her book Beyond the Light Barrier. But the contactees have always fascinated me because it's a very stark difference between the reported abduction phenomenon. So very happy space brothers, turn off your nukes in the 50s and 60s. And then by the 80s, you have, Whitley Strieber, you have Communion, you have Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton story. So these kind of take over the narrative of what is going on with these, these beings. Now, a big aspect of all this during that time specifically was Cold War secrecy. CIA programs like MK Ultra fostering distrust that still shapes skepticism in the UFO community. In the late 70s, 1977, the Carter administration had an interest in UFOs that led to unfulfilled promises of transparency. So we've been waiting for disclosure since 1977. The earliest UFO reports, like 1947, Kenneth Arnold, Mount Rainier, that's where they get the name flying saucers. That's where the trope comes from. Kenneth Arnold saw these craft, and it was not their shape that he was referring to when he called them flying saucers. He said that they moved as if saucers were skipping across a lake. And for those of you who've ever skipped a stone in your day across a body of water, you'll know exactly what that means. But there are archival records out there that show government agencies did monitor UFO groups, fearing that it would cause social unrest. You got to consider all those earliest UFO sightings that were going on. Think of the flap prior to the Mothman sightings. Predominantly, a big famous one would be the Indrid Cold story. I believe that was Woodrow Derenberger who encountered Woodrow Cold on the road. Big aspect of those kind of things. And look, the evidence is out there enough to raise questions. Definitely enough to raise questions. And, as we continue on, that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. The skeptical perspective. The Pentagon's AARO report from March of 2024 found no evidence of extraterrestrial activity, attributing most of the sightings to optics or atmospheric effects. Mick West, who's a well-known skeptic, argues that the UAP videos, like the 2019 Tic Tac video, show mundane objects distorted by camera artifacts. But now we're hearing there might be some Lockheed Martin involvement with that, so who knows for sure. Science constantly demands peer-reviewed evidence. And because of this, they note that Grusch's claims lack any primary source documentation. Psychological studies suggest confirmation bias does drive belief in UFO cover-ups, especially among distrustful populations. The lack of physical artifacts, the recovered craft, undermines extraterrestrial hypotheses. There are optical illusions that could be, the causes for these. Lenticular clouds, mistaken for UFOs. And some of those were caught on 2025, and they made the rounds on social media. These things look like flying saucers in the sky. The scientific community critiques the reliance on anecdotal testimony over reproducible data. And that's one of the reasons why we don't really seem to see many of these mainstream science organizations seem to be taking any of this literally. Now, regarding the AARO, the funding for it is about $20 million as of 2024, but it is seen, however, as inadequate for the endeavor of comprehensive UFO research. I do not like the term UAP. I must also tell you that. I do not like the term UAP. I'm old school. They are UFOs. UAP, when you change the language, you change the meaning. All right. So moving right along. All of this kind of information, all of the moving parts. Pardon me. Wow, I didn't do that right at all. I think I coughed, blew my nose, and all that stuff on the microphone. Thought I muted it, but I didn't, did I? Disgusting. I am appalled. I am absolutely mortified. I am just, it is so unprofessional. Somebody's going to clip that. They're going to clip it. They're going to loop it. They're going to put it on Boomerang. I'm just going to be some fat guy on the internet blowing his nose over and over again. 10 years of work, I'm going to become a nose-blowing meme. Oh, dear God. I tried, folks. I'm so sorry. Anyway. Yeah, Tina, thanks for that. I apologize, Tina. I thought I was muted. I don't know what the hell I'm doing over here. They change the interface on this damn StreamYards every time I turn around. All right. Anyway, the public sentiment in the media regarding all this, a lot of posts in 2025, particularly on X or Twitter, rather, show that there's like 60% of UFO-related discussions expressly highlight the distrust of the government. There are media outlets like News Nation that have amplified UAP stories, or UFO stories rather, with viewership definitely spiking after Grusch's 2023 testimony. Leaked military footage, such as the 2021 USS Omaha video, continues to drive viral speculation about underwater UFOs or USOs. Various podcasts have addressed these topics, like the UFO rabbit hole, that a 30% listener jump in 2025 because people are fascinated by this stuff. Online communities like Reddit's Are UFOs, which I am banned from, by the way. Reddit can suck it. It's a terrible site full of crazies. So, there is actually a subreddit for this channel, well, for the old name of this channel, but I have not touched it in years. I have not used Reddit in years. It has become a terrible place. People used to crack on 4chan for being a real scumbag hellhole, but Reddit is just disgusting. It is really is just some. And you know what? I was a big time fan of Reddit for a very long time, but over the years it got, oh my God, just terrible. So, Reddit Are UFOs. They share the insider leaks, but again, no verification. Now, the mainstream media, for its part, used to just ridicule this stuff. It was pretty par for the course for the anchorman or woman to laugh while the X-Files theme played in the background, and they made whoever was a witness of something strange in the sky look like a nut job. But that has really changed. They moved towards serious coverage again because public perspective has changed in that regard. Hashtags like X, hashtag UFO cover up, trend alongside even political distrust narratives of more mainstream topics. There are also like philosophical implications regarding all this stuff. I forgot to mention the documentaries, the docuseries, the documentaries. You can find them on Netflix and Tubi. They're all over the place at this point. There's all kinds of wild stuff going on in that regard. So like, there's definitely there's a hunger for this kind of content. When I first started doing this, there's always been an interest in this stuff, and I've definitely watched it change over the years. Whatever happened to the Bermuda Triangle? We don't even hear about that anymore. I mean, when's the last time anybody told you about the Bermuda Triangle? So these topics kind of fall off. And like I said last week, with Bigfoot, they constantly move the goalpost. So these things do adapt, they do evolve as time goes on. But for a lot of those shows, and like, History Channel is really guilty of this. They prioritize the, I don't want to say the performative. I feel like that's dismissive, but they prioritize the drama over the evidence, and I can understand that. As a high strangeness guy, I just want to tell compelling stories. At the end of the day, I want to assure all of you, when I started this 10 years ago, I had a much greater scope of belief in these kind of topics, from cryptids to the cosmos, to conspiracies and cover-ups. I believed in a lot more of them. After 10 years of intense research, and then this was something I just it was a passion of mine for years until I started doing it kind of semi-professionally here. But I believe in a lot less of these topics now. And it is just because the more I research it, maybe it lost its luster at some point. Maybe it seems like the magic is gone, but I don't want to put it in those terms. It just seems that, like, logically, as we boil things down and we expose the simplest options for these kind of questions, it's usually like Occam's razor. The simplest answer is usually the right one, But I digress. Think of what disclosure would do. Think about, and this is the one we always hear, what would it do to religious doctrines? 40% of Americans surveyed in 2024 in a Pew survey reported that a disclosure situation would affect their faith. I did it right that time, didn't I? I think I did it right. It looked like it lit up red. Now, listen, everybody, I don't want you to think I'm ignoring the chat, but I do want to dip into the chat as we wrap up each of the topics we're talking about tonight. So we're getting close to that. Can't believe how much time's already gone by just dwelling on this one. So we're going to keep moving a little more rapidly and get through this stuff. I tend to be pontificating a little bit tonight instead of just data dumping on you guys. But, 40% of Americans would report that their faith would be impacted by this kind of disclosure. Philosophers out there like Nick Bostrom argue that extraterrestrial contact could redefine humanity's existential purpose. Online debates question whether disclosure would unite or divide global societies, citing historical reactions to paradigm shifts. The Fenry paradox, and this fuels speculation about why advanced civilizations remain undetected. Cultural narratives from War of the Worlds to Arrival shape expectations of alien contact. And ethical questions arise about sharing potentially destabilizing information with the public. A poll in 2025 on Twitter showed 55% of users believe disclosure would lead to a technological leap. Discussions of post-disclosure governance highlight fears of a militarized response to an alien presence. So let's dip into the chat a little bit. I'm going to see who's kind of hanging around tonight. We got a nice little turnout going on. I'm kind of surprised. There's a lot of people watching right now. Very, very thankful for that. So across all platforms, thank you guys for checking out the stream tonight. I really do appreciate your time, and I know you could be anywhere right now, but even if you hang around here for a little bit, I thank you for it. So before we get on to topic number 2, and maybe we'll trim down a few of the topics tonight. I will go as long as I'm physically able to try to get through the topics. Normally I want to keep these to an hour, but I've never really been motor mouthing lately. I guess you get me all pent up for a week and then I'll let it all out. You remember when I used to do these every night? Christ, how did I ever accomplish that? I used to run home from work, fire this up every night and do a new topic. Now, I'm not going to say everyone was a classic episode. They're not even available anymore because I'm not particularly proud of each episode being of high quality, but I definitely pumped out a lot of quantity those days. I just keep throwing crap at the wall to see what'll stick, folks. So let's dip into the chat a little bit, see where everybody's at. Mazarus, hello, Pete. Great to see you. I'm not up late these days. Tina, great to see you too. Society of High Sciences, cryptids, LOL. Yeah, cryptids, I think, are a double-edged sword. The thing with a cryptid is, like, it could be, some of them could be. If we're looking at like realistic stuff, one that's often cited is the panda. It wasn't discovered until like the 1900s. I believe the early 1900s or some such, to my understanding. And I could be totally off base with this. I don't know why I think this. I don't know. Maybe I read it in some junk somewhere. But Some of these things, like cryptid could very well be not just a monster of legend or myth, but it could very well be a species that was thought to be extinct, and yet, we're able to locate a member of the species. So, while it's easy to dismiss the possibility of cryptozoological creatures and whether or not they exist, the fact of the matter is, like, it doesn't have to be a chupacabra, because it could be a Tasmanian tiger, so like it could be something that was real and is not necessarily very common these days. So I think that, it's important to consider those kind of aspects of things. I just got already caught up where I left off. Okay. Oh my goodness. There's a super chat. I didn't even see that. So let me go over and check that tab real quick. Okay. So I am so sorry. Jeff of the David clan. I like that name. It's very powerful. Jeff says Reddit is and always will be a hot mess. I agree. I'm not a big fan of Reddit at all. I thought that there was a time when it was, enjoyable, but those days have definitely come and gone. Like, it's a sad state of affairs that those kind of people are walking amongst us. Redditors. Okay. I'm still just getting caught up here. All right. So I might be a little far back. I'm not even sure. I just jumped into the chat with the first name I saw, and that was Mazurus. Jesse Miller, easy there would be space missionaries trying to convert Ziplar and Zoltar to Christianity. Well, this has already come up with the Vatican, and they made it very clear that if aliens land, they will baptize them. But again, we don't know how that would work. Like, let's say that there's a planet of humans on the other side of the universe. God may have manifested himself there in the exact same manner, or in a different manner that was somehow complementary with their society. We can't even begin to fathom how that works. The presumption would be that all of creation has fallen. So could we have a planet where beings are not fallen, where they're not, cursed? I don't know. I mean, that's for real deep theologians to consider. Speculatively, if the alien shows up, I don't see any reason not to tell them about Jesus. Lesser Logic. We've had some great times on this channel. That's true, Lesser. That's true. Jeff of the David clan. Creepy little book. Simpler times. It was. I kind of felt when I first started this, I really didn't know anybody else who was involved in it. And even when I was doing it for a couple of years, I didn't know at that time, we didn't call them influencers. I don't even call myself that. I think it's really, I'm a YouTuber. That's it. I only started doing other platforms like a week ago, as far as streaming on them live. And I predominantly post everything on YouTube and a couple other of these platforms. But I don't really consider myself like an internet personality. I'm predominantly on one channel where most of my content has been posted for the last 10 years. And, I don't think I'm anything special. I think when I started, it was really a choice between talking about comic books or talking about weirdo crap, because I knew a lot about both. But, ultimately, talking about weirdo crap is less expensive than buying new comic books every week. And they're pretty bad these days to keep dumping money into them. But again, I digress. Emerald Eagle 777. We used to listen to you all the time. I'm really trying to get a little more consistent, Emerald Eagle. I have gotten several scripts written in my downtime. This has taken quite a while to do, but I've gotten several scripts written for more long format pre-recorded videos. Once I get a few things put into place, I want to start a regular schedule of maybe one, or if possible, up to 2 pre-recorded videos a week, 1 live stream a week, and maybe a couple shorts. And, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think that occasionally there's stories I would like to talk about that don't necessarily warrant an extensive setup or a video. And some of these guys out there, they're just, setting up and yelling about their opinions. They're doing all right. And I would like to inform people about some things they should be concerned about, you know. Predominantly, I'm a big advocate for something like a digital bill of rights. I think that nobody is talking about this. And those are 4 very important words. If we do not get a digital bill of rights, and I mean now, we are in deep, deep doo-doo. There are many powerful tech forces out there. Our whole lives are immersed in this stuff now. You know, the day was you would pick up a phone on a wall, and it better be a dial tone, you know, could have been a rotary. And you'd call up your local pizzeria, which could have been maybe a mile or 2 away. And you would tell somebody over this landline what you wanted for dinner. They would write it on a pad of paper. And then somebody with a paper map would drive it to your home. And this would all be accomplished within 30 to 45 minutes. Pretty incredible stuff that people were able to accomplish with pencils just in the recent past. So I think that if, you know, we continue down this path of technological dependency, a digital bill of rights is so important, and it has to happen now. No one's saying it. No one in government's proposing it. They don't care. But, you know, like we have to. We really have to. Otherwise, it's going to be a friggin' disaster, you know? So you know, we'll see. We'll see. I think, you know, I'm going to mention it more and more. It's anybody who will listen. It really should be something you're talking to people about too, if you care about the future, about humanity. So I would get into that. We're going to keep moving down the chat. Okay. I don't even know where I'm at here. Okay. I'm so sorry. I got like 3 screens going on at the moment. I'm still getting used to all this. Like I said, I used to do this every night, and I've done it a while. I'm doing it, you know what's going on. And for some reason on this monitor I have in front of me, every time it cuts to commercial, like I'm not seeing the commercial. It's a black screen with a timer running, so I got to back out and back in, you know. Russell Rose Dub. I remember you talking about the Black Pyramid, the Philadelphia Project, Giants. Yeah, Russell, I've covered damn near every topic under the sun, which is predominantly one of the reasons I privated all the old videos. They're not gone, and I've got them on hard drives, you know, backed up anyway. I always endeavored to make evergreen videos. So if you consider that most of the information in those videos was relevant within, with some of them, it's currently evergreen still because there hasn't been any developments in certain cases regarding these topics. But in others, things have changed over time. And because of that, I want to let you all know now, one of my most popular topics and the one that really helped establish this channel was regarding events that occurred almost 10 years ago now, back in 2016. And it all started with a tweet. That would lead to a chain of events that would send me down a real rabbit hole. And I want to revisit that. So I've been working on a very long script. You know, we might be talking about a half-hour video here regarding this topic. I don't want to give away too much, teasing a little bit because I want you to be curious. But this one's, I just finished it. It's a big one. It's a big one, and it touches on a lot of stuff over the course of 10 years, plus new developments. So with some topics, like I said, I always endeavor to be evergreen. With others, you got to stay on your toes. And I think I'd still like to do a mix of that now. But a lot of those videos I did in the past have subsequently become outdated over a decade. And likewise, I don't want to just say something like I did a video once called the Sorceress Algebraic. Very rare topic. I found it scouring the web. I reached out to the original author of the story. I got the runaround, and then they vanished into the ether. And I've never been able to find much on the source of it. It led me to believe after a while that it was complete fiction, but there were enough elements of truth to speculate. Now, something like that, completely evergreen. I got no trouble making a video like that. But, knowing what I know now and how I want to frame it again, perhaps I would like to remake it. And with that in mind, I don't see any reason to leave this old dusty stuff up there. I'm just thinner and prettier back then. But what I have been deciding on is creating a curated playlist. I did wind up filming some stuff for this playlist idea. 5 videos I selected. Created all new intros, bumpers, and outros for them. Did no editing to the original video. Left them as was. And I had an incident with the computer where I got the blue screen of death because it was trying to do this auto repair loop. And I had to factory reset it, and I lost all those files. So real pain in the butt to edit them again. And it's kind of delayed that project a little bit while I've kind of worked on getting over the disappointment and resentment of Windows 11. Okay, rolling right along. Bogus Hype, what's up, Bogus? How do you do? Been a minute. Good to see you. Good to see you, Bogus Hype. Jason Ingram, how you going, Jason? What's up? Tina says, I worked at a pizza place when I was a teenager. There was a big map on the wall that we used for delivery directions. Tina, I also worked at a pizza place in my late teens. That's true. That's true. They did have a huge map of the neighborhoods, and it wasn't the whole city. It was really just part of it. It was like the part where the pizza place was. What was this? I don't even know what I'm looking at. Oh, okay, that's caught up. Oh, snap. Let's reload. Okay, sorry. Sometimes this crashes. I'm having all kinds of hiccups. Oh, hey, you got a couple more super chats coming in. That's really cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you. That's really cool. All right. Jeff of the David clan. I really like that name. That's why you throw a little bass on that one, you know? It's pretty good. It's a good name. Original name, you know? Oh, goodness gracious. Jeff says, I wish Bigfoot were my dad. Famous line from Art Bell. There we go. Another Art Bell fan out there, Jeff of the David clan. I'm a huge fan of the Art Bell show, Coast to Coast AM. I still listen to tons of reruns of it. And shout out to my current favorite podcast, the Unbelievers podcast. Sister show to the original Unbelievable podcast. Both are great. I would advise you to, because I would say you want to listen to them in tandem if you're going to listen to them both. The predecessor podcast lays the foundation of a lot of the inside jokes that continue on to this day. It's been like it's been like maybe 14 years now, I think, the two shows have existed. One first and then the other. Yeah, it's been about 14 years. So there's 14 years of content to delve into. There are some great Art Bell episodes between both shows. So I would check them both out. And the Unbelievers actually did a few good George Norrie episodes, if you would believe it. I highly recommend the George Norrie Extravaganza or the George Norrie A Ouija Board Experiment. Both highlight how I should be the host of Coast to Coast AM, and George never should have been. Oh, God, George Norrie. Nice mustache, though. Watch out for the pizza rolls. Anywho, okay. Tina said she worked at a pizza place. Oh, wait, I just read that one. Somebody said something about tacos. Oh, no, issues with Windows 11. Oh, am I back? I'm going backwards in order here. I wish Bigfoot were my dad. I'm sorry, that's the one I missed. So I did go backwards. I'm looking between two menus. Ginger Viking Jesus. Normally I'd give Ginger, the old Ginger, a Viking, a Jesus, but my throat's a little down. I'm not going to do the whole full yell. I talk to Ginger all the time now. So Ginger, the Viking Jesus, for $5. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Ginger hooking me up. Thank you very much. Ginger says, I miss and sadly forgot the topic of the stream where you came out swinging and breathing fire about the topic. I want to say it pertained to a deity. I don't remember what that one was. I think I know what you're talking about. Every once in a while, I come out really hot, you know, I get really angry and I make some fired up video. It's very rare that I get passionate like that. I always try to stay above that kind of stuff. Personally, there's a lot less righteous indignation at this point and like downright dread. Like if things have gotten pretty dystopian. I feel like things are pretty wild, you know, but look, I don't ever negate the supernatural or the world of possibilities. So who knows what can happen. I'm going to get into the next topic pretty quick. So I don't want to waste too much of your time running my mouth. Let's see if we're caught up on the chat here. My all-time favorite Pete video is on the flat Earth. Maybe that's the one you're talking about, Ginger. The one where I like just lose my mind. I'm red in the face, got the garden hose veins in my throat, and yelling at the top of my lungs, dropping 100 F-bombs. Yeah, that flat Earth video. Well, the flat Earth was a thing at the time. You know, it was pretty popular stuff. I've often stood against the popular narrative. I've vehemently disagreed with the flat Earth thing, but I have fallen into the camp of hollow Earth, and even the idea that the Earth is bigger and there's more continents than we know about. So yeah, I think those things are possible. I know they're not real, but they're possible. You know, who knows what we're being told? I kind of believe that space is water. I think that's real too. You know, but you know the flat Earth thing really got me. And one thing I there was a big political thing that started 10 years ago. It was a letter of the alphabet, and it tricked the boomers to no end. I still to this day believe it originated as a 4chan LARP that got out of control. And I debunked that on the third day. I put up a video. I compared it to the idol worship. You know, it's this shadowy figure. That's the white hats are coming. You know, it's nonsense. Claims that powerful political figures had 3 days before perp walk and arrest. And then when that didn't happen 3 days later, I was like, none of this is true. And then they got more outlandish and there's secret codes and all this crap. I've been all against that crap. I don't believe it. I think that people are easily manipulated. Because I mean, there is disinformation put out there on purpose. And like at the scale we see now, who knows? You know? So I advise against those kind of things. I don't like to get caught up in like Facebook boomer BS, you know. There are people generally of the older generation, and look, you know, my parents' generation, I would say, you know, a lot of them are sharper than most folks, but for the mass population, they were raised very differently. They were raised to blindly respect authority, to not really ask too many questions, to, you know, the belief that if you put your nose to the grindstone, it'll pay off in the end. And maybe that was true for a time. But the social engineers do what they do, and they change the world enough that none of that applies anymore. And, you know, I think that because there is that kind of readiness to accept official narratives, the media and authority figures have duped, to a large extent, you know, 40 years of voters, you know, and people in my generation too. Believe me, I know plenty of kooks out there who, you know, it's like there's just, it's almost like we used to have shared like cultural touchstones. You know what I mean? Like, if you're old enough to remember, I'll mention a few things. Think of David Copperfield. What's the first thing you think of if I say that name? Well, if you're of a certain age, maybe you think about when he walked through the Great Wall of China, or he made the Statue of Liberty disappear. Amazing stuff, a cultural moment that most Americans witnessed at once through the power of a television. Because the media was so limited, we shared these moments together. The finale of MASH, you know, important political events that occurred throughout history were all, I mean, the Challenger, the fall of the Berlin Wall, even up to and including the events of September 11th. These things were a shared cultural moment beamed into our living rooms through the television. But the media has become fractured into so many pieces that we're not sharing it the way we used to. I mean, yeah, we might all get the story eventually, but it's not like a shared moment. There are very few moon landings going on since the moon landing, if that ever happened. But you don't have these kind of mass gatherings around television or people stopped in the street looking in the TV shop windows as history is made. That's not occurring anymore. And if it were, it wouldn't be as shared as it was in the past. It wouldn't be as culture defining. It wouldn't be part of our identity, because largely our identity in the West is being eroded by, you know, evil, powerful people who don't care for anything except power and wealth, and they will erase in any way they can all of humanity from the face of the earth until it doesn't matter what any of us are tied to culturally, traditionally, they will eradicate those things. We'll all just be, it'll be like, somewhere between Brave New World by Huxley and 1984 by Orwell. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. Again, why I say we need a digital bill of rights. So, that's just one man's opinion. Okay. So, with that all said, I'm just really politicking, and I don't even know how much time we've gone through here. Oh my God, it's almost been an hour already. We only went through one topic. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. We might have to skip around. I don't want to start falling asleep on you because I never sleep, and sometimes I crash out in the middle of nowhere. Like, fortunately not on the road or anything, but like I don't want to be sitting here and be like, it's just unbecoming, rather unbecoming. Let me see something here. Got to get my notes back up. Okay, I don't know what that is. All right, don't know what that is. Just nonsense emails. Okay. All right. Oh, here we go. All right. Okay. So up to our next topic. Now, this is more of a spiritual one and a mysterious one at that. And it kind of relates to another video I've been working on behind the scenes. That it is of a similar type of phenomenon, but it is not the same identity. You know what I mean? But we'll get into that later. Okay. So topic number 2 is the enduring mystery of Marian apparitions. Now, I was raised Roman Catholic. I still consider myself a Catholic, more of the traditional variety than the Novus Ordo. I don't agree with Vatican II in many regards. I don't believe in ecumenicism. I don't believe many religions are the path to God. I don't believe in any of that. I think there is one true church. It was founded by Jesus Christ. It is centered in Rome. It conquered Rome. It was a religion where people were fed to lions, and now where they did that is the seat of its power. This is incredible to me. All right. So whether or not you're a Catholic or not, I think we can all have different interpretations of what these are, but we're going to delve into what these Marian apparitions are, what they have been, and what they mean to people. So these are reported visions of the Virgin Mary, and they intertwine religious, paranormal, and historical elements. And recently, online discussions have revived interest in their authenticity and implications. So we'll explore the significance and connections to other phenomena. In 1917, Fatima, apparitions witnessed by thousands, including prophecies and the miracle of the sun, described as a spinning disc in the sky. So that's a famous one. Fatima, Portugal, famous sighting. 3 children were involved, small children. They saw an apparition of the Virgin Mary. They came back visiting her over and over again. She informed them of many things that would occur, in the future, and showed them a vision of hell. And they people didn't believe them, but they have, I think there's photographic evidence even. The miracle of the sun. People waited out on this proposed day of a miracle. There was a prophesied miracle coming. Thousands gathered in a muddy field. It had rained the night before. And the sun left its station in the sky and did a wild dance before careening towards the earth and striking the ground in all of its fury. And nothing happened. The light dissipated. The ground was then dry. The people's clothes were dry. And that was the miracle of the sun. Some say it was witnessed very far away as well. These are anecdotal reports, however. But thousands of people witnessed it. 1858, Lourdes, France. Bernadette reported 18 visions leading to a healing spring, which is still visited by millions annually. So Our Lady of Lourdes was the healing springs of Lourdes, France. You can buy Lourdes water, and I don't know how real it is online, but they do sell it. The Catholic Church has approved only 16 Marian apparitions throughout history. There is rigorous criteria for authenticity, and they reject most claims. The 1531 apparition of Our Lady of Guadalupe shaped Mexican identity, with her image on the tilma studied for its unexplained properties. Now, I could do a whole video about the tilma of Juan Diego and Our Lady of Guadalupe. The fact of the matter is that the Protestant Reformation had just occurred, and the church lost millions. About, let's say 2 or 3 million, lay people leave the church for different Protestant denominations, because there were no denominations before this. There was Orthodoxy, and there was the Roman Rite, and then they split in the schism, And then, Martin Luther comes along and, he didn't like following rules, so he decided to change stuff. But, prior to this, there's no such thing as denominations. You had one church that was split because even though they weren't like the same, they still shared enough commonalities to recognize the validity of each other. They just didn't agree on things, when it came down to, again, the nuts and bolts. So with all the attrition because of the Protestant Reformation in Europe, that would be utterly canceled out by the conversions caused by the miracle of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And that tilma is still in existence today. This is made of cactus fibers. This thing should have deteriorated. It's been around 500 years now. It should not still exist. It is not painted. It is not dyed. They don't know what color it is. It's made of nothing they found on Earth. There's like reflections in the eyes. Some say there's musical notes hidden in the fabric. So yeah, it's a very interesting concept in general, and I'd like to do another video that gets more into it. There were early Christian visions like that of Constantine, and that one sparked his conversion in 312 AD. It was a precedent for divine encounters that influenced the culture. And this is when Constantine was prepared for a great battle on a bridge, and he saw a sign in the sky, and Christ said to him, in this sign you shall conquer. And it was the IHS that you'll often see on priestly vestments, at least in the Catholic rite. So yeah, the vision of Constantine, the third secret of Fatima. So apparently there were 3 secrets given to the children who spoke with the Virgin at Fatima. The third secret was kept hidden. It was supposed to be released in the 60s. Then it was supposed to be released upon the death of a pope. And then it was officially revealed in the year 2000. And it sparked conspiracy theories about Vatican suppression of the true third secret. Malachi Martin spoke to this on the Great Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell many years back. Pilgrimage sites tied to apparitions generate $1.5 billion annually in tourism per estimates in 2024. Historical records also note similar visions in non-Christian traditions, suggesting a universal phenomenon. Now, as far as modern reports go, an alleged 2025 apparition in rural Europe, reported on Catholic blogs, describe Mary warning of illogical. I usually read better than this. I don't know if it's because I'm tired or if I got motor mouth. Ecological crises, though these are unverified. Social media posts claim visions in South America with videos showing glowing figures dismissed as CGI by skeptics. The Medjugorje apparitions, 1981 to the present, remain unapproved, yet attract 1 million pilgrims a year, fueling debate. Online forums in 2025 link recent visions to global unrest, seeing them as a prophetic warning. The Vatican's 2024 guidelines for evaluating apparitions aim to curb unverified claims, reflecting caution. Some reports describe physical phenomena like statues weeping, but through chemical analysis, they often find natural causes, rust, pipes, stuff like that. A 2025 thread on X with 10,000 engagements speculated on apparitions as holographic projections. Local clergy often discourage publicizing unverified visions to avoid sensationalism. Now, is there a paranormal connection here? Diane Paulsulka, American Cosmic, 2019, compares Marian apparitions to UFO encounters, noting shared motifs of light and communication. Some UFOologists, like Jacques Vallée, argue apparitions may reflect non-human intelligences adapting to cultural context. Paranormal research notes similarities between apparition accounts and poltergeist activities, such as unexplained sounds. The dancing sun at Fatima resembles UAP or UFO descriptions, with witnesses reporting a metallic disc. Cross-cultural studies show vision-like experiences in Buddhist and Hindu traditions, suggesting a broader phenomenon. An online discussion in 2025 proposed apparitions as an interdimensional rather than divine events. Psychological parallel exists between apparition visions and near-death experience, both involving vivid imagery. The lack of physical evidence, the lack of physical evidence for apparitions mirrors challenges in UAP research, funding, fueling debate. I am reading this wrong. My vision is getting worse and worse by the day. And again, what is happening with this doggone video not playing right? I am very dismayed. I think I need to delete the software. I mean, the app, and then reload it or something. It's just not working properly. Studies link apparitions to collective hysteria, as seen in the 1985 Zelton, Egypt sightings witnessed by thousands. There's cognitive bias, like pareidolia, and this may explain visions of Mary in mundane objects like clouds or stains. Everybody knows there's a wood grain panel. They'll be like, oh, look, it's Jesus and Mary. You know, that's not usually the case. Neuroscientific research suggests temporal lobe activity could induce mystical experiences per a 2023 study. Social reinforcement in religious communities amplifies belief in apparitions per sociological data. The placebo effect is cited in healing claims at Lourdes, with 70% of cases unexplained but not miraculous. Stressful societal conditions like war or economic hardship can correlate with increased apparition reports. And a 2024 survey found 45% of Catholics believe apparitions are divine, while 30% favor psychological explanations. Skeptics argue mass visions reflect shared cultural expectations rather than objective phenomenon. So Marian apparitions shape global pilgrimage, with Lourdes and Fatima hosting 10 million visitors annually per 2024 claims. The Guadalupe image is a cultural icon, influencing art, politics, and identity in Latin America. Apparitions inspire religious movements like the Fatima-inspired Blue Army, with 20 million members worldwide. Films and books. The Miracle of Our Lady of Fatima, 1952, popularized apparition narratives. Online communities in 2025 debate apparitions' role in reinforcing or challenging church authority. Apparitions influence geopolitics, as seen in Fatima's anti-communist message during the Cold War. Artistic depictions of Mary, from Renaissance paintings to modern icons, draw on apparition depictions. And a 2025 X poll showed 60% of users see apparitions as culturally significant, regardless of origin. So interesting stuff there as well. I think Marian apparitions have always fascinated me. There's a lot of good ones. Keto, of course, we talked about Lady of Salette, Lady of the Pillar. You know, there's a lot of Marian apparitions that have occurred over the years, and they're often very similar in description. I would like to think that these things are still occurring, and for many people, I guess if you're not Catholic, you don't really get the Mary thing. Okay, and I think that there's kind of a misconception that Catholics give worship to Mary. Okay, so first let's take this premise. There's an argument that you shouldn't be praying for the dead, because what's the point? But here's the thing. If you are Christian, you must presume that those who died are alive in heaven. They have, if they've lived a life worthy to be rewarded with, the presence of God in the afterlife, then they probably lived an exemplary life, and with that, with that in mind, you consider that these are factors you got to take into account. Anyway, I digress. We want to keep moving on with these topics. Let me pop into the chat real quick. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Here. Okay, that's still running. This is working as well. Nothing's crashed so far. All right. Okay. All right, we're moving right along. The next topic we have has to do with occult symbolism in political discourse. And I think many of you can agree, this kind of thing is definitely going on. There are many theories increasingly that weave occult symbolism into political narratives around, certain public initiatives like Project 2025, blending mysticism with power dynamics. So we'll examine historical roots and claims. Project 2025 narratives. Okay. Online theories portray this stuff as a shadow government with occult ties, alleging it aims to impose a theocratic rule, but based on selective readings of policy papers. I can tell you a million reasons why that's wrong, but it's wrong. The Heritage Foundation, which is unelected and has no power, A 900-page Project 2025 blueprint fuels speculation despite its focus on administrative reforms. A 2025 viral video with 2 million views claims the project is using Masonic symbols. There's still no evidence to support this, however. Critics argue these theories misinterpret Christian rhetoric as a cult, referencing broader anti-elite sentiment. The Project 2025's training videos for policy implementation spark fears of authoritarianism, amplifying conspiracies. Where the hell am I? All right. Oh, you know what? I just thought about the point I wanted to make because I got lost there for a second. Put a pin in this. The last thing with Marian apparitions, I want to get this real straight for you. Catholics believe that the people in heaven are still alive. So when you say like when you petition the Mother of God to pray on your behalf, like yes, you can just pray to Jesus, but like you can do that on your own anyway. But you know, if somebody you work with knows that your mom is sick and they say I'm going to say a prayer for you, or if you ask somebody at your church to pray that you get that job, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what Catholics believe is going on between them and the saints and Mary. You ask for them to pray along with you, to intercede for you before the throne of God, because they're right there. Like, yo, you're right there. Can you say something? You know, can you say something with me? And we'll see if you got a little extra weight there. That's how that all works. There is no worship of Mary. Mary's a created being, created to be the vessel for the Son of God. The Greeks have a word for it. It's Theotokos, and it means God bearer. So there's a veneration of Mary. You know, it's like you admire somebody, you recognize that they're special, and Mary was special. She was conceived without sin. Catholics believe that she does not have the stain of original sin, a pure vessel for Christ to inhabit when he humbles himself to become a human being. And you know, and I think that's where that comes from. The idea of these Marian apparitions, a lot of people will say they're satanic and this, that, or the other, but I think some might be real and some might not. But that's not for me to judge. And like my salvation is not based on whether or not those are real. Like they don't pertain to anything besides what they are, as far as I'm concerned. The church doesn't force you to believe them, and nobody's twisting your arm to believe them, you know? And as a Catholic, you don't have to sit around venerating Mary all day. There's no rule that says you have to do that. Now, of course, they teach you the Hail Mary prayer, but that comes from the Bible. Like, that's right in the Bible. The whole prayer is right in the Bible. The main prayers Catholics use are the Hail Mary and Our Father. They both come from the Bible. So I think a lot of people don't understand it. They misconstrue it, and that's obviously possible. But, you know, that is what it is. Back to what we were saying about politics and modern discourse. I'm sorry about the diversion there. Project 2025. So claims of Masonic symbolisms, Christian rhetoric being misinterpreted as a cult, training videos for policy implementation, spiking fears of authoritarianism and amplifying, you know, different theories, linking it with a new world order, echoing 90s conspiracy culture. And that's crazy to me because, I mean, that's mostly coming from people on the left. There was a time when I used to believe, and maybe, you know, I think the parties switched. Now, I'm not talking in the 60s. I'm talking in the last 10 years. I think the parties switched. Because, like, there's no way that, like, in you know, when I was in middle school in like the Clinton era, that like there would be leftists crying about the possibility of a new world order. You know, that was strictly in the wheelhouse of, you know, people like William Cooper and an early Alex Jones. You know, that like the Behold a Pale Horse, Quiet Weapons for Silent Wars, The Report for Iron Mountain. Those things were already out there. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like for many years, the people that now are cooking up the craziest nonsense dismiss people like me as being a crazy moron. And I'll tell you what, my track record on not trusting this stuff has been pretty solid at this point. I got 5 years strong going at this point of, you know, dodging some real haymakers and jabs, you know, uppercuts, such like that. Anywho. So there's a polarization in the U.S. It's politically, it's crazy. It didn't exist before, and not like this. It's very divisive, you know. And it's sad because it doesn't have to be this way. You know, we used to be normal people who could disagree about stuff, and we could still be friends. You know, it wasn't an issue where like people stopped talking to their family because they don't like who they voted for. And that cuts both ways. I mean, you definitely got people who feel the same on either side. You know what I mean? But I think both sides are wrong. This is all a mess. And unless we fix it, we're in for trouble. You know, I don't think we can kick the can down the road anymore. Because if we do, we're going to be fighting robots for gasoline and water across the wasteland. And I'm not trying to do that. I am not in the shape for that kind of thing. Okay, where are we at here? Oh, a little too far. All right, I'm back where I need to be. So political polarization keeps driving beliefs. 35% of U.S. adults in a 2024 suspect secret cabals. A lack of transparency in project planning fuels distrust, though there's no occult connections documented. Historically, there were the protocols in 1905, which is believed to be a fabricated text alleging occult plots that influenced the modern conspiracy framework. The Illuminati, founded in 1776, a scapegoat for global control theories, despite its dissolution by 1785. The 19th century occult revival, theosophy. I've done a lot of reading on Blavatsky's theosophy. It's really interesting stuff, and it's even made its way into Marvel Comics at this point. And it shaped the narrative of hidden elites, per historian Ronald Hutton. Anti-Masonic movements in the 1820s. They accused Masonic lodges of demonic rituals, paralleling modern claims. In the 1980s, there was a satanic panic. And again, that's why I say, like, this was a conservative thing to be satanic panic in the 80s, not like a liberal thing. Like, this is just the same deal now. It's the same thing, you know? But in the 80s, the satanic panic linked occultism to political and cultural fears, with 70% of Americans believing in satanic cults. Historical hoaxes, various frauds, falsely tied to Freemasonry and to devil worship, and that shaped a lot of conspiracy tropes. Occult conspiracies often emerge during social upheaval, like the discussions of unrest going on, just now in 2025. These narratives have scapegoat marginalized, groups, and that's still something we see going on now in many parts of the world. Christians are the most persecuted people on the planet. You want to see what's going on with Christians? Like, it's kind of like, it's almost really disheartening that, like, a lot of churchgoers are showing up in sweatpants and stuff, if they're even going. Like, it's not even a thing anymore for most people. So, it's a little disheartening. They're missing out on mystical experiences. They're missing out on a lot, I think. And I feel like I'm part of it too. There's probably more time I could spend, sitting in a pew. There's a lot of religious and mystical influences. The Xenu narrative in Scientology talks about extraterrestrials and their souls being in a volcano and gets blown up or something, I guess. something like that. But it blends the occult and sci-fi elements, influencing most conspiracy culture. The Nation of Islam's mother plane is a UFO-like divine craft, and the prophecy is to lead. It leads into extraterrestrial themes. There was the New Age movement that started in the late 70s and integrates occultism and UFO beliefs. Kabbalistic and Gnostic traditions inform modern beliefs about hidden knowledge seen in many online forums. I've been down a few of these rabbit holes looking for those kind of things myself, and I would not do it again. It's not a good idea. Theosophy's concept of ascended masters, which finds their way into a lot of other topics as well, parallels claims of elite occult societies controlling global events. A 2025 thread with 15,000 likes linked political figures to esoteric groups, though without any evidence. There's religious synchronism, blending Christianity and occultism, and it appears in conspiracy content on YouTube. These influences create a narrative of cosmic battles, resonating with apocalypse, due to online discourse. That's kind of how it works, because the algorithm, at least on Twitter, promotes occult-themed political content, with 25% of 2025 conspiracy posts featuring mystical symbols. Let's see. Where are we at now? Am I missing something? No, those three. Okay, we're moving here. Moving right along. Memes are out there to depict politicians as shapeshifters. David Icke made a career out of that. But there's no content moderation that allows these unverified claims. People are not stopping them, and largely they shouldn't. I think we should have more nonsense theories out there. I don't care. All right, last we got 2 more to go. The Shaver mystery and its legacy in UFO lore. Let me pop it in chat real quick. I feel like I'm being rude. Oh my god, my shoulder is wrecked. Don't know what happened to it. Don't know why it's in such poor condition. Jiminy Crickets. Jiminy Crickets have wrecked my shoulder. Oh my god. All right. So we got a super chat from Jeff of the David clan. I'm starting to trust the Greys more than the politicians. The world has truly gone mad. Are lizard people at work? I am a little reticent to come forward with most of the stuff I believe these days. I think that there's definitely some sinister force involved. I know there's a sinister force involved. And it's not human. We're dealing with a lot of weird stuff out there. It's spiritual warfare. We're in spiritual warfare. Okay, here's our 4th topic for the night: the Shaver mystery and its legacy in UFO lore. Now, the Shaver mystery is a 1940s phenomenon which blended science fiction and subterranean encounters, shaping modern UFO and conspiracy narratives. Now, we're going to explore the origins and the lasting influence. So, Richard Shaver, in 1945's Amazing Stories article, claimed contact with subterranean Deros, who were malevolent robotic beings. The editor, Ray Palmer, promoted Shaver's tales, increasing magazine circulation to 185,000 by 1947. Shaver claimed to have visited underground cities, describing advanced technology and telepathic communication. His stories blended pulp fiction with alleged personal experiences, blurring fact and fantasy. Now, Shaver's letters to Palmer were archived in 2024, and they revealed a belief that his visions were real. The mystery sparked a fan club with thousands writing to Amazing Stories, claiming similar encounters. Critics accused Palmer of exploiting Shaver's mental health for profit. The 1940 sci-fi boom provided a cultural context for Shaver's fantastical claims. But what are the connections to UFO culture? Well, Shaver's tales of advanced subterranean tech prefigure the 1950s UFO contactee stories like George Adamski. The hollow earth theory, popularized by Shaver, influenced UFO narratives about hidden bases, like the ones referred to by Phil Schneider. And a 2025 X thread with 8,000 engagements linked Shaver's Deros to modern reptilians. But I don't believe this is the case. Now, UFO abduction accounts like Travis Walton that we talked about earlier, the 1975 occurrence, echo Shaver's themes of non-human entities. Shaver's depictions of mind control rays resemble later claims of alien abductees. The 1951 film The Day the Earth Stood Still drew indirectly on Shaver's high-tech, heavy narratives. Online forums in 2025 compare Shaver's stories to UAP sightings and crash retrievals, and his influence persists in fringe groups like the Hollow Earth Society, which is active online. So there's recent revival on Twitter to revisit Shaver's ideas with 10,000 posts mentioning subterranean civilizations. A 2024 podcast series on Shaver gained 50,000 downloads, reflecting renewed interest. YouTube videos tie Shaver Deros to 2025 UAP sightings, though without evidence. Online communities speculate about underground bases in Antarctica. What was that? What was that? Antarctica, inspired by Shaver. A 2025 Reddit thread with 5,000 upvotes linked Shaver to modern conspiracy figures like the alphabet number. The alphabet whistleblower I talked about before. He's got just the alphabet in his name, and it's a psyop. Yeah. I don't know what happened. The head exploded, I guess. Digital Archives of Amazing Stories. We read that one. Testimony. Okay. All right. Here we go. 2024. Unverified. Uncertainty. Oh, man, I got stuff going out here. Let's turn that back on. Okay, skeptical. Now, Shaver's claims have been dismissed as fictional. He had a history of mental health struggles. The lack of physical evidence for these underground cities undermines his narrative because, that's what geologists say. Critics have argued that Palmer fabricated parts of Shaver's story for commercial gain, per the 1948 expose. Psychological studies linked Shaver's visions to schizophrenia-like symptoms, common in visionary claims. Seismic data contradicts how Earth theories show a solid planetary structure. Skepticism on X in 2025 dismissed Shaver as a precursor to modern pseudoscience. The absence of corroborating witnesses weakens Shaver's claims of subterranean encounters. Debunkers compare Shaver's tales to urban legends, amplified by cultural fascinations. Shaver's stories tapped into the post-World War II fears of hidden threats, mirroring modern conspiracy theories. A 2024 study found 25% of sci-fi fans are drawn to the narratives of hidden worlds like Shaver's. The mystery appeal lies in the mix of adventure and existential dread, per literary scholars. Shaver's telepathic dares resonate with modern fears of surveillance and control. Online discussions in 2025 link Shaver's ideas to anxieties about technological overreach. The narrative's open-ended nature allows readers to project personal fears per psychologist. A 2025 poll showed 40% of users find subterranean theories plausible but unproven. Shaver's influence on sci-fi reflects a human need to explore the unknown per cultural studies. Okay. I think that moves us on to our next topic. Let's check the chat again real quick. What are my batteries looking like over here? Why do I must keep doing this? Why does this keep happening? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? What is going on? What is going on? Hubba hubba. You don't hear people say hubba bubba, hubba bubba, hubba hubba anymore. That's gonna be my new thing. I'm gonna get up in the mirror. I'm gonna be like hubba hubba. I'm gonna be like, oh, that's the most handsome man in the world. Hubba hubba. Every time I lean forward to that microphone, I feel like I look like a marshmallow with two caterpillars dancing across the front of it. Okay. I thought that was the last topic. I was sorely mistaken. This is the last topic. I'm so delirious. So let's get into it. Oh, what's happening here? I don't want it to be that full screen stuff. Okay. Why? Okay. Anything? Nothing. All right. The fifth topic. Let's check the chat real quick. I'm sorry. I'm easily distracted here. Okay. All right. Leaning out of frame, coughing, sneezing, wheezing, crying, pissing. I love it. It's funny stuff. All right. Jake Carr's here. How you doing, Jake? Good to see you, man. Oh, psyops. I see. I had some psyops for breakfast. A big bowl of psyos. Okay. Jeff of the David clan, turning 39 on the 12th. And the wear and tear from time to time is why the Army has done the number one. Do you have the machine to do that? Okay. I don't know why I got so distracted about it. Okay. Don't even know who I was talking to for a minute there. I think I just totally trailed off in the la la land. We're going to crank out this last topic. How much time have we done this here? Hour and a half. Dude, I'm delirious. I haven't slept in 2 days. Woo! What am I even talking about? Bogus. That's an interesting question. That's a very interesting question. I lost my father in September, and I think it had something to do with that personally. But that's just my estimation. Okay. Okay. This is the last topic, and then I'm out of here, dude. So we're going to do a quick Q&A before I wrap it all up. Okay. The last topic is the enigma of Ezekiel's wheel and ancient encounters. The biblical account of Ezekiel's wheel in the 6th century BC is cited as an early UFO encounter, blending religious, historical, and extraterrestrial interpretations. So we look at the significance and modern relevance to such a thing. Ezekiel 1 describes a fiery wheeled object with living creatures and a crystalline structure seen by the prophet in exile. The vision's wild imagery, including wheels within wheels, suggests complex motion, unlike typical divine symbols. Hebrew texts call it the Merkabah, a divine chariot central to Jewish mysticism. The creature's four faces, the human, lion, ox, and eagle, symbolize cosmic order according to biblical scholars. The vision occurred near the Chebar River, a historical site in modern Iraq. Ezekiel's account, dated to 539 BC, aligns with Babylonian captivity, a time of spiritual upheaval. Artistic depictions, like medieval manuscripts, emphasize the vision's otherworldly nature. A 2025 Bible study group on X described the wheels as a celestial machine. Now, ancient Jewish scholars like Maimonides viewed the wheel as a metaphor for divine presence, not a physical object. Early Christian theologians like Origen saw it as a symbol of God's omnipresence or omnipotence per 3rd century text. Eric von Daniken in 1968, with Chariots of the Gods, popularized the idea of Ezekiel's vision as an alien craft. And Kabbalistic traditions link the Merkabah to mystical ascents, including later occult practices. The Babylonian era star worship prevalent during Ezekiel's time may have shaped the vision's imagery. A 2024 archaeological study found no evidence of advanced technology in Ezekiel's era. Medieval Jewish mystics developed Merkabah meditation to replicate Ezekiel's vision. The vision's complexity suggests a blend of cultural and spiritual influences per historians. So discussions, there were 12,000 engagements regarding the Ezekiel sightings in 2024, I guess. A YouTube documentary with 1 million views argued the wheel was a spacecraft, sparking debate. Online forums linked to other ancient texts, like the Indian Vimana stories, as evidence of UAPs. Some users claim the vision predicts the 2025 global event, though without textual support. A 2025 podcast episode titled Ezekiel and Quantum Physics proposed interdimensional origin. Christian blogs debate whether accepting UFO interpretations undermines biblical authority. Social media memes depict the wheels as a UFO blueprint, gaining viral traction. Skeptics on X argue the vision reflects Ezekiel's cultural context, not alien contact. Now, astronomers suggest Ezekiel's vision could be described as a rare atmospheric phenomenon like a parahelion. Two suns, I guess, sundogs, stuff like that. A 23 study proposed the wheel as a symbolic representation of a meteor shower common in Mesopotamia. Neuropsychologists link vivid ultra visions to altered states induced by fasting or stress. The lack of corroborating artifacts or texts weakens extra-dimensional interpretations per archaeologists. Now, there's optical illusions like mirages that could explain the wheel's appearance per a 2024 research. Biblical scholars argue the vision's poetic structure prioritizes theology over literal events. The 2025 NASA blog dismissed UFO connections, citing cultural differences in ancient texts. Computer models of Ezekiel's description suggest a symbolic rather than a physical object. Now, Ezekiel's wheel inspired art from Byzantine mosaics to modern sci-fi per a 2024 art history review. The vision shapes Merkabah mysticism with 2025 online courses teaching its meditative practices. UFO culture, including close encounters of the third kind, draws on Ezekiel's imagery. A 2025 post found that 50% of users see the wheel as potentially extraterrestrial, 30% as divine. The vision's apocalyptic and, tone resonates with modern fears of global crises per cultural studies. And religious sermons in 2023 cite Ezekiel to addressing contemporary spiritual questions. Online databases explore whether ancient texts encode advanced knowledge inspired by Ezekiel. And the wheel's enduring mystery highlights humanity's fascination with the cosmic unknown. So let me see here. All right, I don't have a pen, so everybody's in luck. Let's do a Q&A. Let's do a quick Q&A before we get out of here. We'll do, time is it? I don't even know. It's already 1:30. Holy crap. Let's check some questions. Yeah. Okay. A little Q&A here. Good thing this isn't a 12-hour stream. Of course, the time when you mentioned doing one of those, your wife popped in her head and said no. Yes, the astral light body. a topic that usually ensures some type of psychic energy battle with some new age guru. You're right, Jake. You're right. Marshmallow, Merkaba, the connection between you and everything, earth, mind, body, soul, light. Okay. Moving right along. Here, what's this? Get that out of here. Jake Carr talking about some Golden Dawn stuff. Let's see. We're gonna have some Golden Dawn stuff. Yeah, buddy. I'm not paying to hear your seminar with my magic info. Farseed's yours. Join us today as we summon the sword and scepter of the Sephiroth, the chest, and Genvira. Yeah. Okay, buddy. I don't know if that's a conversation I'm not part of or what's happening there, but I'm confused. All right, I'm also exhausted. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to endeavor not to be so tired when I do these, but like I said, I'm sleeping like crap and I'm working all night, and then I get home, fire this up, and get it done. And, I'm ran out of gas, but at least we made it to the end, right? So listen, gonna be another week before we come back. Anybody got suggestions for topics you want to hear about? What's something you got ear to the ground about? Anything? Let me know. What else? Thank you to Tina Tomazuski for moderating the chat. Thank you everybody for hanging out here. I appreciate you guys taking the time to stop by and see us. We had a pretty good turnout today. Even now, we got 60 people watching total across all these platforms. So very cool. Again, thank you everybody for just tuning in and hanging out. Deazad, love you, Pete. Thanks, man. Marshmallow, thank you, Pete. Much love, much appreciation. Thank you, Marshmallow. Okay, you all have a great night. I am out of here. So listen, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am on Instagram. There's a Discord link down in the description. And don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube. I do this once a week. I got new videos coming. Amazing new topics. Some obscure. I'm doing one very popular and one obscure. So that's what I got coming up in the next couple of weeks. Looking forward to filming maybe Wednesday and getting this all done for early next week. So thanks for your time. Everybody have a great night. I don't think I have anything else to say. Oh, I do. I want to thank our super chatters. So I want to always make it a point. Oh, wait a minute. Got another one from Ginger. It says, y'all need a drink. Antediluvian. You're right, Ginger. It's time for a beverage. Well, let me see if I can sort this stuff. No. Won't let you do anything easy. Won't you do nothing easy? That'd be crazy. All right. That's what I want. I don't know. Okay. Did I get any ginger yet? Y'all need to drink antediluvian. All right, I was just about to say thank you to all super chatters. Yo, first up we got Jeff of the David clan. So a couple from Jeff of the David clan, thank you. A couple from Ginger Viking Jesus, thank you. I appreciate you hanging out tonight. Everybody have a great night. See you in the morning. Take care. Thank you, Tina Tomazuski, for moderating. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget to join the Discord, link down in the bottom. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Subscribe here. Send me $1 million. Hit me over the head with a bag of money. Run me over with your sports car. Push the ladder out from under me at work. I'm trying to get payday. All right, cool. I'm just being honest here. I'm just being honest. What can you do? Gas is like $67 a gallon. Okay. All right. To Jeff of the David clan and Ginger a Viking Jesus. I want to say thank you for the super chats. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks you. Very cool. I hope you all have a great night. Tune in next week. We'll have 5 fresh topics to get into. Maybe I'll condense them a little bit. We're not rambling on. I had a lot of filler today. I meant to do the topics and leave the filler for the end, but hey, sometimes you get a jabber on. That's how it goes. All right. Subscribe and follow on all the things. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. This has been Dark Sayings. I've been your host, Pete. And until next time.